The old barn sat lopsided beneath the weight of years, gray wood buckling against prairie winds, windows sunken like tired eyes. Locals called it ghosted ground too far from the main road. Too many storms, too many seasons without purpose. So when a stranger bought it for just $100, word shot down fence lines like summer lightning. At the feed store, old-timers exchanged smirks behind weathered hands. "Some folks got more hope than sense," they muttered, watching the newcomer roll through town in a battered sedan, deeds and dreams stuffed in his coat pocket. No one knew what he wanted with a building where raccoons outnumbered memories. Neighbors slowed their trucks to stare as he crossed the brittle threshold, disappearing into shadows where no one else dared linger. Some said he was wasting money better spent on seed. Others wondered if he'd last the winter. But most just waited, half amused and half uneasy, as stories started to spread. A flash of light at midnight, strange noises, a shape moving behind broken boards. Whatever he came for, everyone agreed. It wouldn't be long before the truth about that old barn rattled loose and changed the county for good. Beyond the barn, the county stretched in patches of fading green and dust, each farm a testament to better years that now lived only in photographs. Out here, weather was an unwelcome guest, and time didn't gently settle. It took chunks out of paint, fences, and lives. Abandoned barns leaned into prairie winds, their bones sinking into earth that once gave plenty but now yielded mostly weeds and whispering regret. Most folks had learned to stop counting on fortunes changing. When a property came up at auction for next to nothing, old families passed, knowing even free barns could bury a person in headaches and repairs. The barn's silvered boards were split and warping. Its doors sagged like a mouth gone slack from too many harsh winters. Any dreams it once held had slipped away, along with the people who built it. For the buyer, this was more than reckless spending. The money he spent was most of what he had left, a leap across a chasm lined with jokes and warnings. He wasn't just risking $100, he was risking his last fresh start, and whatever hope he still believed in, placing a bet on the bones of something everyone else had chosen to forget. He'd grown up just a few towns over, watching barns rise and fall like the tides, each a monument to someone's grit and gamble. His own father, gone long before he was old enough to remember a voice, featured only in faded snapshots, smiling on bale piles, leaning against afternoon light, always in front of a barn. The stories his mother told lingered in him, the belief that old buildings kept secrets if you took time to listen. When news of the abandoned barn traveled through the county, it carried with it the same rumors he'd heard as a boy, that the last owner left in a hurry, that strange things turned up in the hayloft, that it was once a place for Sunday dances and harvest suppers. Deep down, he knew he wasn't just buying wood and nails. He was reaching for roots, hoping that by restoring something everyone else had counted out, maybe he could repair his own fractured history and prove, if only to himself, that some things are never too lost to save. This purchase was equal parts memory, stubbornness, and a hope too fragile to say aloud. From the first swing of the barn door, it was clear hope alone wouldn't hold this place together. Inside, the floorboards squelched with hidden rot. One wrong step sent him crashing through to the cold dirt below, dust and cobwebs billowing up in a ghostly welcome. The sweet scent of old hay was long gone, replaced by the sharpness of mouse droppings and mildew. Sunset cast shadows against buckling beams, each streak of orange revealing a new disaster holes gaping in the roof, graffiti from local kids, wind rattling loose siding like a warning. Neighbors drove by in slow procession, rolling down their windows. "You'd be wise to cut your losses," they called, laughing or shaking their heads, some with honest concern, others ready to see him fail. Each day's work brought fresh discouragement. A snapped shovel, a bee sting swelling his hand, the sound of something animal or memory moving up in the loft when night settled in. Sleep came fitful and short, haunted by creaks and distant voices riding the wind. He started to wonder if maybe the barn wanted to stay forgotten, its walls closing tighter the more he tried to force them open. Doubt, heavier than nails, clung to every breath. One stormy afternoon, with rain drumming the tin roof and spirits low, the newcomer slumped on the barn's stoop, hands splintered and filthy. That's when Mr. Ackerman, a neighbor whose age seemed tied to the land itself, ambled up the lane in his battered truck. He didn't offer advice or judgment, just left a bundle of old papers in the man's lap, figured these might be yours or ought to be. Curiosity overcame fatigue. Inside, yellowed ledger pages and letters revealed a thread of history records of barn dances long gone, receipts for crop yields, names of people lost to memory. But tucked within, almost forgotten, was a scribbled map and a short letter from a woman signing as M. She wrote of a time when hardship threatened the family and mentioned a keepsake hidden from the world, safe until needed most. Suddenly he saw the wrecked barn with new eyes, not just a ruin but a riddle. The lines on the map seemed to match odd marks on the wall, grooves worn deep and stained by decades. Hope sparked a way through the doubt if only he could follow the clues and unlock what had slept inside the barn for so long. At first light, armed with the old map, he returned to the barn with a sense of mission that outlasted even the mocking voices lingering on the breeze. Every detail felt loaded with meaning: a warped board where the map marked a cross, a patch of floor suspiciously lighter than the rest. He approached the spots with care, using gentle pressure instead of brute force, and soon found one board loose at one end. Beneath it lay a pocket of cool, undisturbed earth flecked with shattered glass and lost coins. Farther along, a knot of wires twisted through beams above a stall, exactly as M had sketched beside her message. He paused, heart pounding, then eased free the wires, revealing a tin box wedged between timbers. Within its rusted shell slept old velvet, brittle but intact, protecting a smaller box that rattled softly in his shaking hands. All the while tension built. Would this merely be another relic of disappointment? Outside, neighbors had started to gather, pretending not to notice, but drawn by word that something was happening at the old place. As he laid out the discovered treasures, silver coins, faded photographs, a quilt patch embroidered with family names, it felt like piecing together a secret legacy, one careful layer at a time. Even as his hands trembled, the barn's stubborn silence seemed to shift, exhaling the long-held breath of generations, and each find promised that the best discovery was yet to come. Word spread faster than the prairie wind, and by early evening, half the county crowded near the barn's yawning doorway. At the center, on an old sawhorse, he arranged his finds for all to see: velvet-wrapped coins shining faintly in the failing light, hand-forged tools older than anyone present, and a packet of heirloom seeds neatly labeled in his grandmother's handwriting. Most astonishing, though, was a small iron key and another rough map that pointed not to the loft or wall, but to the earth below. Together with a few curious volunteers, he followed the markings out back, digging where an ancient apple tree leaned. After a while, their spades struck metal. Carefully unearthed was a weathered strongbox heavy with old newspaper, a silver brooch, and a half-finished letter addressed to the dreamer who follows. Awe and disbelief rippled through the crowd. Some cheered, some wept, others just shook their heads. The local historian declared it the county's most important find of the decade, and the barn, once the butt of every joke, became a place of pilgrimage and pride overnight. What began as a desperate gamble by one hopeful soul united neighbors and families in shared wonder. The barn story had outlasted time and doubt. Now, every face in the room was reflected in its revival, a living memory reborn before their eyes. In the days that followed, the barn echoed with new voices, the laughter of children exploring hidden corners, elders sharing stories once left to fade, and strangers arriving from nearby towns. No one saw the place the same way anymore. Those who'd mocked his purchase now came with their own memories, eager to help shore up the sagging roof or repaint flaking doors. They brought casseroles, old tools, and bits of family lore. Building more than repairs, they rebuilt trust and belonging. The protagonist, long an outsider, found himself drawn into the community's fabric, honored at church suppers and welcomed on front porches. For him, the barn's worth could never be measured in coins or antique trinkets. It was in the friendships forged, histories uncovered, and the quiet pride of having woven himself back into the tapestry of home. As dusk fell over the fields, he stood in the barn's wide doorway, watching neighbors linger beneath lantern glow, knowing that a forgotten relic had become a living bridge between past and present, and that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is believe in what nobody else will. Some barns fall, some are torn down, and some are simply overlooked until someone stubborn enough and hopeful enough decides they're worth a second glance. This story is a reminder that what we toss aside, whether it's a rundown building or an old dream, might hold treasures that can't be measured in money. The foundation of any community is built not just on what's new or flashy, but on the quiet strength of what endures, patiently waiting for someone to rediscover its value. In this little corner of the world, $100 gamble became a gift for everyone, uniting neighbors, healing old wounds, and unearthing stories that might otherwise have vanished with the wind. Maybe you've seen something others failed to notice: an abandoned field, a well-worn book, a tradition at risk of fading away. Maybe you've been the only one who believed. As folks around here say, what's buried in the soil remembers the hands that planted it. We'd love to know, have you ever found a story, a place, or a hope that was worth saving? Share your thoughts or memories in the comments below, and tell us where you're watching from. Subscribe to join our family of storytellers, where every forgotten corner might hold the start of something extraordinary.